So welcome everybody to the AlpaCafé. We again have a few topics today on the agenda. We will start again with the recent issues. Then we have a section from James today for the support for the AL test runner. He's going to show how that works with Alpaca. Then we have some updates on the LGO support in Alpaca and some of the improvements we did, and the updates on the NuGet support, and at the end also a new feature for installing artifacts after the build. So here again, for everybody who's new, we want to use that meeting to learn from you, to learn about your use cases, and to improve Alpaca based on that. We will record every session. They will be published on YouTube as well. So if you want to see a topic in here, then please let us know. We will include it in one of the next meetings. We will mark every topic with one of those 4 symbols so that you can see if a topic is for GitHub, for DevOps, current, or for the preview VS Code extension of Alpaca, so you always know where to find something. If you have any questions during the meeting, you can use the Q&A tab to ask your questions. I will try to keep an eye on it and answer the questions you have. So let's start with the recent issues and fixes. We have a few today. So the first thing is that we now are creating issues automatically on GitHub by default for non-Cosmo users. We decided on that to enable other members of the Alpaca community to also find issues by themselves, to just see what other people are reporting and how other people solve their issues. Sort of to help yourself if you have something. And the other stuff we worked on is the open terminal, open file share. We invested some work to make that more stable. There were lots of connection resets, connection timeouts beforehand. We now fixed that to make that more stable. Also, there have been some issues with empty keys that have been downloaded. That has been fixed as well. The open terminal, so if you are connected inside the BC container, you are now using PowerShell 7 by default. The reason behind that is that there were some issues with PowerShell 5 with recent BC versions that actual BC commands were not working properly. So that's the reason why we switched to PowerShell core by default. So keep that in mind. And with that, the issues hopefully are gone. Also, we fixed an issue around a task that has been cancelled. There was some error message that you might be getting if you are leaving VS Code open over the night, for example, so a very long time. Then sometimes the health status checks go into a timeout or get that error here. That was also something that we have been fixing. Then the support for AL test runner. James can't be live here today, but we recorded a little video for us because he's on holiday now, and he will show you how it works with Alpaca.
Hello, Alpaca fans. Hope that you're all well. Marcus did invite me to join you live, which I would have loved to have done, but I'm on holiday this week, so having a lovely time in Scotland instead. But I did say I'd record a short video for you. If you don't know me, I'm James. I'm probably best known for the AL test runner extension in VS Code. And quick plug, I work for a partner in the UK called TES, T-E-S, and we're doing some great work with the not-for-profit and the charity sector in the UK and in the US, both Business Central and CRM. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then look me up on LinkedIn or Blue Sky or somewhere, Discord, and reach out. But enough of that. We're here to talk about AL Test Runner and Alpaca containers. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what I've got here. So I've got the Alpaca VS Code extension installed. I've got a container which is running here. I've also got my AL test runner extension installed, which is why I can see the test tree here. So let's just open up this container first of all. Okay. Log in. Because I just want to show you in extension management. I have already installed, before we began, the test runner service app. I installed that into DevScope by cloning the repo from GitHub and publishing it from VS Code. Marcus has done some magic in the background of the Alpaca service where you can create containers with this already installed. I've written some documentation which includes his notes on how to do that, so I'll share that afterwards. But so I've got a container, I've got my test runner service installed, so now I can go to my test tree and just run a test. That is going to publish the test app into that container. It's going to connect to the client service endpoint and run the test and download the results. Nice and easy. So there's a few things I just want to show you about how do you get that working. So let's just open a little browser here off to the side. This is the documentation. And there's a few things that we need to set up. So this is about the test runner service I mentioned. Either publish it into DevScope or follow the instructions here. Importantly, there is, let's open up the settings, run via URL setting in AL test runner must be enabled. The default currently is false. I might change that in future because it works better even for a local container if this is turned on. But you will need to come and turn this on if you're using an Alpaca container. You'll need to make sure publishing from PowerShell is not turned on because that's only for local containers. And you'll need test runner service. And that ought to be it. I've already gone through some of the config in the AL test runner config file here, which I opened with the command there, open config file. But let's get rid of that, and I'll walk you through what it looks like when we first go. So I'm going to try and run a test now. It's going to publish the test app through the AL language extension, so that's all cool. And now we're into AL test runner is prompting for some of the settings that we're going to need. First of which is what's the company name? So just Cronus UK Limited. We're going to need the username and password. And now it's going to connect. And it's going to fail. Now that is because, let's just open the config file again, because this test runner service URL is close, but not quite correct. The extension does its best at trying to fill in this automatically, but it's the defaults aren't correct here. It's using port 7047 for the SOAP endpoint, so we'll get rid of that. We need HTTPS here, and we need to replace dev with not rope, SOAP. Company name, test runner, the tenant is all correct already. That now should be enough. That ought to be a bit better. Maybe when I get some time, I'll try and look at how we can detect we're already running on an Alpaca container and therefore don't use port 7047 because that's not right. It uses port 443 and we need SOAP on the end of the server instance, and maybe we can detect all that somehow. for the curious, why am I still using SOAP when that's old hat and is being deprecated? It supports both the REST and the SOAP endpoint. I'm using SOAP at the moment because it seems to be a lot faster than REST. I don't know if that's just my experience or whether it really is a lot faster. But certainly in a local container, it's noticeably slower downloading the code coverage and the performance profiler from a REST endpoint. So now that I've done that, I should be able to run all the tests, and that will download the code coverage at the same time. So again, published the test app into the Alpaca container. Here are the test results, and now we get the test coverage as well. And obviously we can open up this, we can toggle the code coverage on here. These are the lines that were hit in the previous run, all that good stuff. The last thing you will need to set up if you want to debug one of these tests, so let's say, why is this test failing? Let's go and debug it. That's going to fail because we don't actually have a debug configuration, which let's go and add that now. So the launch configuration is as Alpaca left it for me. When it prompted, do you want to add the launch configuration, it added a launch and a snapshot. So now I'm going to also attach to the client on your server. Let's almost attach AR text runner, and we can just copy this stuff from up here. So that is that. The server instance is that. We also need to specify port 443, and that should be us done. So now let's go and try and debug this again. It will find that attach configuration and attach it, and now we'll see that you've got an error. And obviously you set a breakpoint earlier on, see what's going on there. Control-Alt-D to debug the current test, and now we're into the test here. Yeah, so there you go. So that's a little bit of documentation there about how to set that up. Yeah, thanks for Marcus for reaching out and inviting me to do this little video. And feel free to create an issue on GitHub or create a pull request with some improvements on GitHub for that matter, or find me on one of the socials, and I will get back to you. Cool. Thanks very much. Hello.
Okay, so thanks very much, James, for a little video. To summarize it a little bit, James also mentioned there's a way in Alpaca to enable the AL test runner service. And the only thing that you need to do basically is to add the import test apps within your Cosmo JSON. So that makes sure that during the container startup, also the test runner service is installed automatically. And with that, you can basically use the test runner how James just showed it. I also have the link to the documentation of James here. Yeah, make sure to try it out. It's really helpful to develop tests and quickly try out and debug the tests. So really great to get that testing up and going. Next up is the automated updates for ALGO on Alpaca. We'll have Patrick here.
We had some problems in the early beta phase of the Alpaca ALGO that we couldn't update our Alpaca system files. We now managed to extend the standard ALGO update system files process in the workflows, that we now also update our Alpaca system files. This will, the first time you execute it, it will get the new update steps. And for the first time, you have to execute it twice, because on the second run, it will then also know about the new update steps and will also run the update steps for Alpaca. But then it will always run the Alpaca update steps in the future. And you can also use it if your current project is not using Cosmo Alpaca. You can also use it by just run update ALGO system files and use the Alpaca PT as template. Then it will just load our template, and you will get our workflow files. So this is also one way to switch over from standard ALGO to extended Alpaca ALGO. Yeah. Click. Yeah, we also did some improvements on the rest of Alpaca ALGO. We introduced the multi-project support. So we had in the first version, we only support single project repos. We now also support multi-project repositories. And we make some improvements on the dependency installation. So the dependency installation is now fully supporting NuGet. At the moment, there is a setting at the backend necessary. This setting will be removed in the future, so you can set up everything inside of ALGO like you've done before when you're using NuGet and trusted feeds. So there will be an update again in some couple of weeks, but at the moment, if we activate the trusted feeds in the backend for you, everything works fine, and then you can just configure your NuGet packages inside of the Alpaca JSON. What we have also planned for the future is that we, like ALGO standard does, analyze the app JSON and then automatically install the NuGet packages based on the app JSON. But we are generally working on the NuGet support of Alpaca in generally. So what we are doing in the meanwhile, we have introduced a new type of product packages where you can configure your NuGet packages. And here, for example, for the Cosmo Advanced Manufacturing package, you can add packages inside here, and you can click through the existing packages. So if there is if you have the packages, you will then see here the versions. And what we're also working is that when you right click on here, that you can add it to your configuration. Like we have already done it for the universal package here. Here you can just click on the right click and add dependencies inside here, and that's what we're also working for on the NuGet. So we can add it here. So let's hand over back to Marcus again.
Next up is the install artifacts after build. Ole.
Hello everyone, sorry about that. I will start again. I will talk about install artifacts after build, the new feature. It's not completely released right now, but I will talk about the released part and the start parts that are to be released in the near future. First of all, in the Cosmo JSON, all artifacts or all objects that are represent artifacts are now can now be extended with the property depends on. This only supports the value app, but whatever can be missing. Artifacts are still downloaded at container startup, all artifacts, but they are now organized into subdirectories based on depends on. They are either put into the subdirectory general So C run my apps general for all artifacts without depends on, and for every app that has depends on set, it will be put in the corresponding folder dependent on depends on in lowercase. And in artifacts, only the artifacts that have no depends on set will be installed on container startup. So the startup will download all apps, but will only install the artifacts with depends on set, without depends on set. So if you set it right now, you will just not get them installed. But the idea or the end result will be that this feature will be integrated into the build pipeline. So after publishing and installing the app, there will be another step that installs all apps that have depends on app. So you can set up apps that are dependent on the app and should only be installed after the app.